Hey, Raiders fans! We're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. That way, you'll always stay up to date with breaking news and exclusive content. Today, we're diving deep into a rumor that's been buzzing ever since Fox Sports dropped the line. Could Scary Terry McLaurin land in Las Vegas? I'm about to break it down for you. Stick around, because I'm also unveiling 3 trade scenarios, one from a Washington Commanders insider, one from an NFL operations source, and my very own version. And before you write this off as impossible, consider this: never say never. The NFL rearranges itself in ways you'd never expect. I'll start with the obvious argument why the Raiders should absolutely go after McLaurin. Picture this: you get your hands on one of the NFL's most reliable wideouts, someone who consistently delivers and always shows up. Now drop him into a Raiders offense that's already shaping up nicely. If that doesn't spark some excitement, you might want to check your pulse. Let's look at the stats. McLaurin's been a steady producer, season after season, under different head coaches, offensive coordinators, and quarterbacks. That consistency is gold in this league. Last year, he crushed it with 13 touchdowns. And that was with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. Think about that, a raw quarterback, and Scary Terry still goes off. And don't overlook how much McLaurin helped Daniels develop. He isn't just catching passes, he's helping mold a young signal caller. But why now? Fox Sports put it plainly. They painted Vegas as a perfect landing spot. The Raiders have a solid foundation: Geno Smith stepping into his first season, Brock Bowers emerging as a star, Ashton Gentry set to break out, and Jacoby Myers as a reliable target. But they still need a true number one. The suggestion: ship a pick or two to Washington. Lock in McLaurin in his prime, and suddenly, that receiving core's McLaurin, Bowers, Gentry, Myers is arguably the best in the AFC West. I'll even go one step further. I'd say that's the best defense in the division, period. Better than Mahomes, better than the Broncos, better than Justin Herbert. Sure, Geno Smith isn't Patrick Mahomes, but when you combine a top-tier running back like Gentry, tight ends like Bowers, and wideouts like McLaurin and Myers, you're building something electric. Now, you've probably been told this deal is a long shot. I get it. Maybe there's only a 1% chance. But every single year, the NFL proves that bold moves can happen. Remember when the Raiders landed JAVONTE Adams? Nobody saw that coming. Here's what Fox Sports said: if I'm dreaming up a perfect landing spot for McLaurin, Vegas really sounds fun. Why not ship a pick or two to Washington? Lock in McLaurin for the rest of his prime. They laid it out clean, and I agree. The numbers support it. The fit supports it. What's fueling the speculation even more? The familiar connections in Vegas's regime. Big-time trades almost always have some inside relationship behind them. And the Raiders just happen to have Dan Quinn and Pete Carroll on that list. They coached together for 6 years in Seattle. Quinn has credited Carroll with shaping his career, and they clearly respect each other. If you believe in that kind of networking, this could give McLaurin to Vegas a lot more credibility. It's also worth remembering the Raiders tried to trade for DK Metcalf this spring, and Metcalf openly said he wanted to play in Vegas. That tells me this door is still cracked open. Add to that the uncertainty around Jacoby Myers. Vegas may decide not to extend him. If they find a true number one, if they're shopping for McLaurin, it may mean they're preparing to pivot away from Myers, opening the cap space to. Speaking of cap space, this is no minor obstacle. McLaurin wants top dollar, let's say around $30 million per year minimum. The Commanders have around $21 million in cap room, but cap space can be rearranged. The Raiders, they're in a much healthier position and could pay McLaurin without dancing around the cap. If you're trading for Scary Terry, you better be ready to deliver on his payday, and if it were me as his agent, I'd push for $33 million. That's what DK Metcalf got. Some even consider McLaurin as valuable or more so than Metcalf, so his price tag must reflect that. Now here's the part that tethers everything together. Why are the Raiders doing this now? Here's a strategic breakdown. They can't replace Christian Wilkins on defense, not easily, but they can do the next best thing: elevate scoring. Think of your win threshold. If the defense dips into the bottom 10, you rely on offense. Score 28 to 30 points instead of 24, and suddenly you have a contender. Trade for Scary Terry, add more weapons, and even with a shaky defense, you have a shot at playoffs and beyond. Another key point: Vegas's midterm plan. Pete Carroll is locked in with a 3-year deal plus option. GM Mark Davis also on board. and their core is intact. The Raiders aren't merely rebuilding. They're reinforcing the peak in 2026 and 2027. McLaurin is in his prime, say, 3 to 4 years on a deal. It aligns perfectly. You bolt him to Geno Smith, tie him into the coach, the defense anchors, the GM's plan, and boom, you're ready for a run. That's why making this move now makes sense. It may look aggressive, it may look risky, but if you're building for a Super Bowl window, now is when you strike. Vegas already has the building blocks. A clutch wide receiver like McLaurin doesn't come around every day, and while this won't be the last time this show covers a blockbuster rumor, this one, if executed, will be cinematic. I'll follow up in a moment with those 3 trade packages, what Washington insiders are saying, what NFL sources are whispering, and my own take on what could realistically get a deal done. Want a 10-hour live breakdown? I said I'd do it if the Raiders land McLaurin. 11 hours if this video brings in 100 subs. Let's get into it. Let's now break down the 3 trade scenarios that could bring Terry McLaurin to Las Vegas. And I'll be honest with you, these aren't just wild fantasy trades. One came from someone close to the Commanders, one from an NFL insider who knows how these deals work, and one is my own creation, tailored with the Raiders' situation in mind. Starting with the Commanders' insider proposal, and this one's going to stir up some debate. Washington receives Jakobi Meyers, Tyree Wilson, and a second-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft right off the bat. What stands out is that there's no first-rounder involved, which is crucial. I wouldn't trade a first for McLaurin, and I know a lot of fans wouldn't either. Jakobi is a legitimate weapon, and giving him up would hurt, but he's due for a new contract soon. Maybe Washington decides paying him $15 million a year is more palatable than giving McLaurin $30+. Add Tyree Wilson, a former top 10 pick, and you're giving the Commanders a young edge rusher with upside, which they desperately need. Dan Quinn's defensive mind could potentially turn Tyree into a real force on the line, and remember, Quinn has those Cowboys connections. Tyree does too, making the fit even smoother. Now let's move to the second scenario, built by an NFL insider, someone who understands the mechanics behind blockbuster trades. He used the DK Metcalf trade as a blueprint in this deal. The Raiders received Terry McLaurin and a 6th-round pick. The Commanders, in return, get a 2nd-round pick and a 7th-rounder. That's it. Clean. Simple. It mirrors the structure of Seattle's deal for Metcalf almost exactly. While it might not wow people at first glance, it gives Washington a premium pick and a little extra draft capital for Vegas. You're getting McLaurin without gutting your roster or giving up players you want to keep around. It keeps the offensive core intact while still adding the big-name wide receiver you've been missing. It's balanced. And in terms of trade logic, it makes a lot of sense. Now let's get to my trade. I had to tweak mine a bit after seeing that the Commanders insider and I were thinking along the same lines. Here's what I came up with. The Raiders send Washington a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round compensatory pick. Vegas is expected to receive the comp picks depending on Jermaine Pratt's and Nate Hobbs' playing time. That's where the 5th comes from. Along with that, the Raiders send over wide receiver Trey Tucker and edge rusher Tyree Wilson. I didn't want to include Jakobi Meyers in this version because I believe he's still very valuable to this offense, especially if McLaurin comes in. Having both would give Geno Smith that one-to-punch a receiver that few teams in the NFL can match. Trey Tucker is the wild card here. He's had a strong offseason, and while he doesn't carry the same value as Meyers, he's cheap and still developing. Maybe that's what Washington wants, a younger guy to mold alongside their new offensive scheme. You throw in Tyree Wilson, who, again, has tremendous upside, and suddenly you've got a real package that might get the Commanders to listen. Add that to the draft capital, and it's a serious offer. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a development that's generating serious buzz around the league, sources close to the situation suggest that running back Javonte Williams may be on the verge of signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. While nothing has been officially confirmed, whispers from league insiders are pointing toward a potential deal that could significantly shake up the AFC West landscape. Williams, who has shown flashes of brilliance during his time with the Denver Broncos, is reportedly seeking a fresh start after an up-and-down tenure plagued by injuries and inconsistency within the Broncos' offensive scheme. The Raiders, meanwhile, appear to be in the market for a dynamic back to rejuvenate their ground game. especially after a season marked by questions around depth and explosiveness in the backfield. Though the details of a possible contract remain murky, what's clear is that Williams still commands attention when healthy. Known for his aggressive running style, exceptional balance, and underrated pass-catching ability, he could provide a versatile threat in a Raiders offense looking to retool under head coach Antonio Pierce. Fueling the speculation is the fact that Raiders front office executives were recently seen attending several Broncos practices during minicamp, a move that didn't go unnoticed by reporters and fans alike. Some have even noted that Williams recently removed all Broncos-related content from his social media accounts, only adding more intrigue to the situation. If this move does come to fruition, it could be one of the more under-the-radar transactions, with the potential for major impact. Pairing Williams with a developing offensive line and a scheme that could better utilize his strengths might allow the 24-year-old to finally tap into the full potential that made him a second-round pick in 20-1. Still, until there's pen on paper, it remains a rumor, albeit a compelling one. But if the chatter around league circles is to be believed, JAVONTE Williams might soon be swapping orange and blue for silver and black. Stay tuned. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.